Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while it's live, and a link in the info box once the video has rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. Please do not swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the show, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior. How you doing, Sleeping Warrior? Good to have you.
All is well, all is well. Just got out of bed. What time are we on? 10:05 Saturday morning. Saturday mornings are great.
Yeah, I agree. So apparently Patricia's put a call to arms out on Facebook regarding a thread or a video. I don't know enough about this, but I'm hoping you'll fill in the details. But basically, from what I understand, Phuket Word, Nick, is being attacked on the moon and its influence on the tides. Is that pretty much a good summary?
Yeah, when I woke up this morning, flicking down the Facebook feed, because my Facebook's now become not family and friends anymore. It's kind of become all my favorite flat earthers, and obviously overnight things happen whilst we're sleeping. And yeah, she's put not really a call to arms, but she's basically put it out there to show that there's an issue there and there's a conversation between Nick and between this guy. And he's an English guy. I don't know what his name is. I'm just trying to find the actual video. There we have. His name is Simon Dan, right? He's got 203 subs, so he's new on it, and he's coming out with the pompous kind of pretentious red rhetoric style, the in your face. There's the official version. I'm laughing at you kind of style, but he doesn't do it rude. He does it like quite. At this point, he's quite. I know my stuff, therefore you must be wrong. That's his approach. And Nick's obviously well versed in all this, and ultimately it's a question of, oh, the link's published. All right, okay. I'll open that. Better get the back door open as well. Hang on. Ultimately, it's a question of the moon and its effect on the tides, and really, it's not going to be easy for me to show it because I'm not going to get the sound passing through.
I wouldn't worry too much. I mean, we can publish the link to Simon Dan's video in the info box afterwards. But I mean, I agree. I have actually seen this video. I didn't realise, but I have. And he's like cool, hard logic, as you say. He's quite pompous. He's not rude, but you know, he's kind of saying, "Here's the official line, and you're an idiot for not accepting it."
Yes. If I let me just open back Skype. If I send you the link. Just drop it on the main chat so people can open it, because should I screen share? Yeah, forget it. I'll screen share. Let's move that over there. Oops. Screen share. Yes, yes. Now, let's move that there. Move that to there. Hide that. Right. So this is the said man. Relatively polite. Quite condescending is the word. That's the best word. Condescending, patronizing, and condescending. And obviously, he's given the official narrative to all of the science that's been thrown by him, which is obviously what he's going to do. Now, one of the first things that he says that I took interest in. I mean, there's a lot of back and forth in this, and it's between him and Nick, and it's not really. We don't really need to get involved in it, really. But what he actually says is, we know that the moon causes the tides. That's his actual words. We know that the moon causes the tides. Well, we don't know that the moon causes the tides because you can't remove the moon to see if the tides still do what the tides do. Now, we can observe that there is a correlation between the moon and the tides, but is it the cause? Because, of course, there is a difference between the correlation of the moon and the tides and the cause of the moon and the tides. Now, it's quite well known that like the oceans of the world are salt, whereas the fresh waters of the world basically don't suffer a tide. They claim that they do, but it's a few centimeters. But I would argue that there's no such tide whatsoever. But even if there is, it's not of the same rate. So there is a fundamental difference between tides of the world on the oceans compared to tides of the world on, on freshwater bodies. So the moon is affecting something, right? However, we see Good Times for All. If you haven't come across Good Times for All recently, you should really go and have a look at his work, because he can show in his most recent 5 videos or so, he's playing around with a Van de Graaff generator. Oh, did you sort that, mate?
Ah. Did you get him in time?
No. Have I been removed?
No, he's still here. You got him.
Oh, right, you got him.
Ace.
Yay. Right, it's because I've not got the thing in the middle of my picture. I should have done. I also didn't. There we go. That's it.
You're on Good Times for All, just so you don't lose track of where you were.
Yeah, Good Times for All shows that let's get that back straight, so I'm back on a straight path. There we go. So I'll just remove that there. Right, so Good Times for All shows that with his Van de Graaff generator, he puts one side of his Van de Graaff generator on a tray with water, and the other side he puts in the water. And what he can show is that the water will bend when a current is passed through it, right? Now, that's important because the moon and the sun are not credited with any electromagnetic effect on the heliocentric model. It's literally light radiation in the form of waves. But nobody really talks about on the heliocentric model whether the sun or the moon or the sun and the moon have got any effect with regards to electricity. Now, we can show the flat earthers, the science that is Good Times for All, we can show that we can make water bend. So this kind of goes against Dell's theory that water doesn't bend. Well, with a current passing through it, it can. Now, whether the current is strong enough to move huge bodies of water is a moot point, but nonetheless, it is. Oh, here we go. But nonetheless, it is the position that we can show that with a current passing through water, we can manipulate the water, the body of water. We can manipulate it. So essentially, we can show things in science, in flat Earth science, that explain what we see. Now, on a bigger scale, the sun and the moon, however big they are, however close or far away they are, if there is some element of attraction, our position that it's electromagnetic, okay, obviously, because gravity is not really a thing. We think that gravity is actually electromagnetic effect, or most of us do, or some of us just don't even accept it exists. But I think that there is something there that is described as gravity, but it's actually in real world, it's electromagnetic. And Good Times for All shows that if you pass a current through water, you can make it bend. You can make the surface of the water bend with a current. Well, we also know, as a matter of fact, that you can get salinated water and pass a current through it with a bulb, and the bulb will light brighter than it will do if it's fresh water. So fresh water does pass a charge through it, but it's a lot less. You can make that bulb shine brighter with salt. If you put salt in the water, the bulb is brighter. Obviously, all the oceans of the world are salt water, and with a bit of electrical current or electrical influence, then it makes logical and reasonable sense that the waters may have a tidal effect caused by electromagnetism, not caused by the moon at all. However,
Mark, how you doing?
we also...
Hiya, folks.
Good to have you.
However, we also know that the sun and the moon generally are considered to be opposites, like almost like battery terminals, positive and negative, because moonlight tends to be colder than the sunlight, which tends to be warm. So there appears to be a positive and a negative relationship between the sun and the moon. And if there is an electromagnetic effect between the sun and the moon, hey, guess what? The salinated waters of the earth would be affected by it. We seem to live in a dipolar electromagnetic environment that the heliocentric model simply refuses to acknowledge even exists. But there is evidence that shows that it does. So whilst this guy claims that the moon is causing the tides by the gravitational pull, it's not the full story, because you can't prove that the moon is pulling the tides up. But what we can prove is that when you apply an electrode charge to salinated water, we can manipulate the shape of it. So we can prove that. That is something that's provable. But you can't prove this gravitational force that just seems to exist between the two greater bodies. So it's nonsense to suggest that, as this gentleman does, that the moon causes the tides. I agree it has a correlation with the tides, but I don't agree that it causes it, and certainly not the way that you think it does, because science can't remove the moon to prove that the moon is doing what he thinks it's doing. And even if science could remove the moon, the effects would be unknown, because obviously nobody can. It's conjecture to what might happen if the moon was removed. But we all accept that there's a correlation. But you can't prove causation, young man. You can prove correlation, but that's not causation, which is indeed the reason why you can argue gravity. However, we can prove that an electrode charge through the water will manipulate the surface of the water and create it to bulge. So this is like more evidence than what you have. You have a correlation which you can observe, we agree, but we can prove that passing a current through the water will manipulate the surface of it, which could explain the tides. And you've got no other explanation other than gravity, okay? So unless you can prove causation, then unfortunately, mate, you're simply arguing from a logical fallacy. You're assuming that it does what you think it does because science tells you, but nobody can prove it. Nobody can prove it. So unless you can prove that the moon is causing this thing that you call gravity, which nobody else can observe anywhere on Earth, perhaps you could do a Cavendish experiment to show us what this gravity is. All you're actually doing is showing a correlation. And of course, a correlation is not causation. So you believe stuff because it makes sense, and that's what you've been told, but is it actually the truth? And the answer, of course, is, well, we can pass a current through water and manipulate it. Isn't that really what the cause is? And obviously, we know that the stratosphere and all these spheres that are above us, all the atmospheric layers above us, are charged. They are positively charged with ions. And we know that the salinated oceans of the world are essentially conductors and basically negatives. We know that currents pass through the Earth and the atmosphere through the forms of lightning and weather, generally speaking. Is that not more likely to be the cause of the tides? Just putting it out there. But my question would be to this gent: do you understand the difference between a correlation and a causation? And I submit that you don't, because you're arguing that causation without any evidence whatsoever is what we see. Math Powerlands?
Yeah. Has he booted anybody?
I don't know. He's gone.
No, I booted him.
Okay.
That's Powerland's handler. That's just some troll. I'm going to make one slight correction. Water
Sure.
at... Oh, he's managed to get Mark. Water at rest maintains its level. So water with an electric charge going through it, that's not water at rest.
Good Times for All showed that it could be done with water at rest.
Yeah, but it's
put
not
it in,
at rest if you're
it?
manipulating it with something.
Yeah, he's manipulating it with electric.
Right, so it's not at rest.
Well, it's not tidal or subject to movement. It's in a petri dish.
That's what you're causing. You're demonstrating a cause and effect relationship. So, yeah, you are literally manipulating it with the electricity, therefore it's not at rest. In the same way you could manipulate it by pouring it, by heating it up, by doing all number of different things to it. You know, each one of them would take it out of its rest state. But water at rest maintains its level.
Sure.
It seeks and maintains, I should say, in case someone says, oh, right, you put it on a hill and it's level. No, it seeks and maintains level.
Do you want to pull Mark back in? Because it's not fair that he... or start another hangout.
I can't. If the person that's boosted him has banned him from this show, he can't get back in.
Bring him in on Skype.
I don't think I've got him on Skype. I could just, rather than us arguing about it, I could just put a new link out, and then he can come in on that.
Yeah,
put a new link out. But then we'll just have the same problem of having to fight off the two trolls that we've managed to actually kick out. Hello, the Rumpus. How you doing?
Hello.
Good to have you.
Hello.
Well, why don't we put another link out and start it again? Because if Rumpus is in, let's not start a conversation now. Let's start it on the new hangout, because it's not further. Oh, hang on. Is Mark around? I still see him in.
Maybe he dropped of his own volition. If he drops us a line in the chat and says, I want to get back in, I will. I'll start a new hangout.
Okay, so we're going to have to... Have you got the chat open for the hangout?
Yeah.
Just keep an eye on him, because Mark, if you have been kicked and you want to rejoin, let us know and we'll sort it. And while I remember what my second point was with regard to this gent, Rumpus, what can we do for you today? Have you got any evidence about the shape of the Earth?
The world is full of it, so you can't avoid it.
Yeah, you're right. It's the interpretation that's the problem.
Just go outside, look at a boat go over the horizon, look at the sun, go sunset. Look at that
Are you
boat.
really
That
arguing
picture.
the boat?
Hold on,
That
you've just asked him a question. Let him answer it. Let him answer it, Anthony.
Just go and look at the horizon through a theodolite. You'll see it's dipped down just as it should be for the spherical Earth. Every piece of evidence you ever look at, all the pictures that you Isle of Man, Ranty, the recent one, all of them invalidate the flat Earth. Monk's model, which he's got wrong, invalidates the flat Earth, confirms the spherical Earth, unless you include this incorrect modelling. Everything, every single piece of evidence absolutely reinforces the spherical Earth and invalidates the flat Earth. I mean, where do you want to begin?
I'd like to begin with the assumption that the Earth is curved and that light bends around it. Can we start with that assumption?
Yeah, okay.
Why would you assume that the Earth is curved?
Well, I missed the first word of that question. Well, you shouldn't, because the sunset goes behind the horizon, and you can measure the radius just by getting on top of a mountain and looking down on the horizon.
Excellent.
Can you show us that?
Can you show us that, please?
Sorry?
Can you show us a measured circumference of the Earth from a mountain, please?
You want me to show you someone doing it, or the theory behind it?
I want you to show me measured curvature.
Well, Soundless video shows you that. If you want the
No, it
visual
doesn't.
representation.
No, that shows us refraction. Can you show us measured curvature?
No. That shows he goes up and down. You can see the curvature of the Earth. The horizon moves away from you. You can see more as you go up. That would only happen on a spherical Earth.
So when I ask for a verification for your assumption that the Earth is curved, your reference is Soundly.
For video, yes. What?
I know you like
to be shown
things. A recent YouTube video. That's your reference for proof that the Earth curves, to insert a presuppositional argument that it curves and light bends around it. Soundly, that's your citation.
You seem to like videos. You seem to like YouTube. You seem to have to be...
I'll rephrase it. Rumpus is deaf. Please, can you prove that the Earth curves?
The Rantis picture demonstrates it has to be
That proves it's flat. We can measure it with straight lines and trig. No,
you can't. You can't.
When you measure it on a globe, you insert a presupposition that A, the Earth is curved, with apparently Soundly as proof of it, and that light bends around it, negating said curve. What we have in the Isle of Man is a flat Earth observation. It absolutely, unequivocally is not conforming to a curve.
All of the visual images...
Oh, looks like I will be starting a new hangout. No option but to. Marvellous. So I'll do a quick link first. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box once the video has rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply click the new link, which I'll publish in just a few moments, in the info box, to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. Please do not swear if you do join the panel. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share this show, as sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, and this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share. And one last time, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Let's just see how long we've actually got left on this live stream. We've got about an hour and 40 minutes. 20 minutes before the whole show was sniped. Marvellous. I hope you're all enjoying the debate thus far. Par for the course, if I'm honest. Soundly cited as evidence that the Earth curves. What an absolute insult. Up my guests back first. Let's just do that. Click, click. The link is now out on Skype. If you just check your Skype links. Good morning.
He was quick. He was quick, that one.
Yeah. It's because I've got my fast mouse out, but when you're on a roll pointing out that Rumpus has got absolutely no evidence for a curve and he cites soundly, what? Yeah, that's just not that's not the moment you want Rumpus being ejected. That's the moment you want him to explain why he's citing soundly as proof the Earth curves.
Well, ultimately, they've got to have something to support their belief, and that's the strongest that they've got at the minute.
Soundly, a YouTuber. Okay.
Well, I mean, YouTubers, it's to do with the evidence, and I look at it from this view. I think that if there is evidence to support their belief, then at least it gives them something, but it also gives us something too. And that's the point of, like, for me, that's the point of a debate. At least they've got something that they can cling to. So if you're out there, Rumpus, let's rejoin. Are you putting the link out publicly straight away?
Yeah, give me a chance.
Well, if you are, can I give the link to Rumpus directly first and get him back in?
Yeah, sure. That'd save me publishing it for a few minutes. I'll publish it in 5.
Yeah, let's get Rumpus back in. Rumpus, there's your link. It's in the Skype. If we can get Rumpus back in, that would be interesting to... what am I looking for? I'm looking for that. There we go. Pop that out. Oh, here he is. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I thought you'd ejected me there, Anthony, because you've done that before.
I have done that before, but I only do it when you start becoming an idiot. And you weren't being an idiot.
I don't think anything really merits ejecting people.
Depends. Depends on how
much. If they're getting personally abusive, agreed. They're getting abusive or super obnoxious or revealing off in
every other sentence.
Maybe like that, you definitely should kick them.
Yeah, but to be fair, Rumpus, you call me like a moron or idiot every other sentence, and that's like totally unnecessary.
Well, you've provoked me when you a few weeks ago, you said, "Oh, why did Rumpus start getting rude to me?" You start off by saying, you're being dishonest, Rumpus." And immediately you say that, you've kicked off with no holds barred. You're going to get called names, I'm afraid. Because
let's be honest, though, you did put in a deduced horizon based on the landscape.
Go through that. I can go through that now if you like.
I'd rather talk about soundly.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about soundly. I'm happy to talk about any subject.
And by the way, I'm open for a collaboration with Alkay or some other suitable ball earther. I want to go back and measure that angle. I want to see. I want to get a consensus with that angle. I want to see how.
That's fine. I mean, I'm surprised, given that you're so confident about it. You don't wish to go through that, given the fact you've seemed to have cited that repeatedly against me, even though I'm completely and utterly correct. And you seem
au contraire, my friend. I'm absolutely adamant, confident, and capable of going back and repeating that and getting a consensus on it, because I don't agree that angle that he measured was 26.5.
I claimed it was 30, if you remember, actually even bigger. It was
I know you claimed it was 30.
6.5. I claimed it was.
I know, but 30. My position is this: if we got 3 mobile phones with that app on it and then did the same measurement, would we get 26.5 3 times?
Well, he did it from a different place. Remember, there have been 3 measurements. There was the initial measurement, which I said was 30 degrees. Then you decided to go back there with Nathan and you measured it from a different place to try and invalidate my analysis, which I thought was amazing. And then, of course, Alkay did it from a third place further on the step. So all 3 of those 8 angles are going to be different. But Alkay's was consistent with mine because he went back another 2 or 3 meters.
No. Let's be honest. Alkay's was consistent with neither of us. It was kind of in the middle.
Well, he went 3 meters further back. So I claimed it was 30.
He didn't. He claimed
from the manual. And I must admit, I haven't done the full maths, but I think that's entirely compatible with my analysis.
No, not at all. But let's just say, for the benefit of discussion, that it was, even though it was basically in the middle. What I'm saying is, if you got 3 phones and put the 3 phones on that manual where he was, will all 3 phones give the same result? That's what I want to test.
Now, that actually, Anthony, is one of the most sensible things you've ever said. In fact, possibly the only sensible thing I've ever heard. No, which must have something sensible. Yes, indeed, because those things are not very accurate. Those,
Yeah, that's my point.
but they are, and you're right. They sometimes use the same chip. In fact, most of the mobile phones use the same accelerometer in them. So, but even then, they're not overly accurate. So they still might not agree. But yes, you see, there you are actually demonstrating a scientific. That's the first time I think I've ever heard you actually suggest something that's a scientific approach to a problem. So well done for that.
Well,
So
perhaps
what about
you've never
this
given me enough.
scientific proof of Earth's curvature then? Are we still citing soundly? Is that scientific proof of curve for the presupposition that we have a curve and that light bends around it, 7/6R?
Okay, I'll go into that. The thing is, Nathan, you don't seem to like maths. You don't seem to like evidence. So the only thing you seem to work on is a YouTube video. So I offered you something that you could easily digest because you don't understand maths. Anthony doesn't understand trigonometry. So it's very difficult to explain to you.
Come on, see, Rumpus, this is where I get trigger happy with you. Come on, you don't need to be ad hoc.
But it's vital. You claim you're talking about geometry. You're talking about the geometry of the Earth. And yet, was it 3 weeks ago? I asked you if you understood what a sine function was, and you didn't.
Right.
And bloody Arwin, who's got airhead, doesn't know anything beyond Pythagoras. At least you knew what trigonometry was. Airhead Arwin doesn't know anything beyond Pythagoras.
So you're into ad hominem Arwin, and I'll ask you the question again. What is your scientific proof of Earth curve?
Right. You can go up a mountain and you can, using a theodolite, measure the dip to the horizon. You will find an angle which you can then convert into a radius. You've
Excellent.
also got
Can you show us
pictures
that? Can you show us that, please? Do you have a demonstration of that?
Well, I don't have pictures from a mountain demonstrator, but I can show you the theory.
So it's not a scientific proof. It's a theory based on something I could do if I chose to. So that doesn't qualify. I'll ask a third time. Do you have scientific proof of Earth curve?
I have pictures.
Pictures that you have taken. Excellent. Let's see some of the pictures you have taken.
And you, if you wanted to.
Excellent. Let's see the pictures that you have taken of Earth curve. Not that this is classed as scientific proof, it's just a photograph, but that'll be a start. So far, the answer to my question, do you have scientific proof of Earth curve? So far, the answer is no.
Well, okay, what qualifies as scientific? What would I have to do to you, for you, to give you, what do you, because you have a very strange idea what constitutes scientific.
Stop telling me what I've got and show me what you have actually got to present as scientific proof of Earth curve. Stop telling me what I can and can't understand and what I do and don't understand, and show me what you've got.
Right, we have pictures of the spherical Earth.
Let's see them.
I've got some pictures.
So let's see them, please, Rumpus.
You want me to? Well, you've seen the NASA pictures of.
NASA pictures. So this is unverified by you, not scientific proof in the slightest.
It's verified by thousands of people.
Sorry, it's not verifiable by you. You said I have got pictures. You haven't got pictures.
I have. I've acquired them off NASA.
Right. NASA have got pictures that they've presented to you. That's what you have. That's not proof of anything.
Do you believe in the existence of China, Nathan?
Sorry.
Hang on.
Let's not obfuscate this question. I want to see your scientific proof of Earth curve. Now, NASA, as far as I'm concerned, is no different to Hollywood presenting the same information in the same formatting. It's not proof. What proof do you have? So far, you've had 4 attempts and failed at every single one of them. So what do you actually have as scientific proof of Earth's curvature?
Right, here we go. You're employing the hyperskeptical line that unless you've experienced it personally, it doesn't exist. So I hence asked you about China. Do you believe China exists? If you have...
Right, I'm not going to listen to your nonsense questions obfuscating my point for a 5th time. Right, what is your scientific proof of Earth curvature?
I can rely on the authorities. I know I've seen ships go over the curve. I have personally experienced curvature, and I can go with a theodolite onto St. Bees, and I could see how far I could dip the theodolite to the horizon.
Right, I'm not interested in what you could do. I'm going to ask it a 6th time. Boats going over the horizon is not scientific proof of Earth curve. Neither is suggesting that you can go to St. Bees. I want to know why you have a presuppositional argument in place. What proof do you have that is scientific in nature of Earth having any curvature?
The sunset.
Right. The sunset does not prove Earth is curved. It is not scientific proof of Earth curve. This is a total and utter mess, Rumpus.
No, it's not. Not at all.
Total mess. Very
sunset,
disappointed.
You cannot explain a sunset on a flat Earth. I can explain it only.
Not being able to explain a sunset on a flat Earth does not qualify for what I have requested. I have requested scientific proof of Earth curve, and you're offering me sunsets and soundly. It is pathetic.
I'm offering you theodolite measurements. I'm offering you observations from
Show
mountains.
me then. Show me.
I'm offering you the pictures that Ranty's...
You said I could go to St. Bees, so now show me these pictures through a theodolite with a scientifically proven curve in them, please.
We have... I told you, you can make any observation you like.
I will say it again. I am not interested in what I can go and do. I am interested in what you can present right here, right now, as scientific proof of your assumption that Earth curves. I want you to present that right here, right now, 7th time asking.
A sunset does
Sunset is not scientific proof that Earth curves. That is not scientific proof of Earth curvature. Fail.
Absolute proof. All observations, such as sunsets, the moon, tides, all observation of planets, the way
They
things rotate around, the stars going to the
it is
horizon,
curved.
etc.
That is not scientific proof of Earth curvature. 8th time I will ask the question. What is your scientific proof of Earth curvature?
Tell me what would satisfy you.
Well,
You
let's start with
try
the
me.
definition of curve.
Don't ask me what would satisfy me. You are the one presenting this as fact. Now present some evidence of these facts. Don't tell me what would satisfy me or ask me. You present it to us. Then I'll scrutinise it. You present it to me. The best you've got so far is soundly and sunsets. It's pathetic.
Look, I speak. Right, the thing is, Nathan, you're employing the trick of hyperskepticism. You could say, and anything I presented to you, you could be a brain, you could be a brain in the vat and reject everything that I offer to you. So I'm trying to find out what bar you're trying to apply, and you're using the classic trick of hyperskepticism of basically saying, no information is valid, I can't rely on anything unless it's deduced. You want deductive proofs almost from first principles to how maths works.
No, I will ask it again for a 9th time. What I'm asking for is scientific proof of Earth's curvature. It is a very simple thing. I'm not implying any skepticism, as you've not presented anything that is valid and worthy as being called scientific proof of Earth curve. You have presented conjecture, a YouTube video, and a sunset. That is what you have presented. It is pretty sad, and it's quite a good demonstration to the audience that you have. Sorry, can you not interrupt me, please, Rumpus? It is pretty pathetic that the best you can do is present soundly as your proof of Earth curve.
You don't accept maths. The problem is I can't use the normal scientific tools with you because you can't cope with maths.
You haven't presented anything so far. You've presented quite literally nothing. So I'll ask for a 10th time. What is your scientific proof of Earth curve?
Maths.
Maths is not proof. Maths can be used as an explanation for things. That is not scientific proof. That is part of your presumption that we have Earth curve. That proves
we've got
nothing.
We've got observations of the curve of the horizon, and from maths we can then derive that it's curved. We also have pictures.
Oh, so we can see the curve on the horizon. Excellent,
we have pictures from
excellent.
Britain's own space activities.
Let's see it. Let's see it. Curved horizon, please. Let's see those pictures.
Of the Earth?
Yeah, from you.
Right, so, but if I drive them, because I haven't been there, you're going to claim they're not valid. Is that correct?
Been where? Sorry, where's there? We are on Earth, and I'm asking you to present proof of Earth curve that is scientific in nature. Been where? Where are you talking about? Where is there?
Nathan, if I were to say to you China exists, would you accept that?
What the hell are you talking about? I'm asking you for scientific proof of whether or not Earth has a curve, and you're asking me whether or not I've been to China.
Because
do you want the question for an 11th time? Are you deaf, dumb, or just plain stupid?
I'm trying to work out what you consider as evidence. And at the moment, you're using the hyperskeptical trick of saying, unless I've experienced it personally, it can't possibly be true. And I'm therefore going to say to you, would you accept the existence of China without going there?
I'm going to ask you for an 11th time. What is your scientific proof of Earth curve? Present it to me and I will scrutinise it.
Yes, but I need to, there's no point in me presenting to you stuff that you're going to reject. So I need to know what qualifies for you as evidence. And
You present it, and I'll decide whether or not I reject it based on my assessment of it. But first, you must actually present it, so please do so.
well, I want to guess. I want to, estimate what you would constitute evidence, because any normal person would say, well, yes, we do have pictures of the Earth, therefore we know that it's spherical. Then you say, oh, well, no, you haven't done that personally.
Who's we? I don't have pictures of the Earth. You don't have pictures of the Earth. Anthony doesn't have pictures of the Earth. And Mark doesn't have pictures of the Earth. So who exactly is we?
I don't have pictures of China either, but I believe it exists.
Who's we?
Do you have pictures of China? You've taken.
Sorry, I'll ask it again for a 12th time, because it seems that you're fixated on China. I don't really understand your lapse in logic or reason or understanding, or maybe you're just deaf, dumb, and stupid. So, for the 12th time, I'm not asking about China's location. I'm asking about the location of Earth curve that you can prove scientifically. If you present some evidence, we will scrutinise this scientific proof of Earth curve.
We have pictures.
Once
you presented some evidence yesterday by was it an early the 1940s? I think that chap was showing you an excellent pictures of the curvature of the Earth from some 1947 Navy shot, which I thought was very good. The thing is, Nathan, I'm trying
to respond.
Yeah.
Do you know what the distance involves for Soundly's observations over Pontchartrain?
I think, is it about 20 miles?
16.
Right, okay.
Can you give me a hypothesis? If you were to double the distance, what would you expect to do with the curvature?
Well, it's at that sort of range, it's proportional to the square.
Sure. So 16 miles for Soundly's observations gives you a basketball, I will assert. But if you were to do it like over 30 miles, what kind of curvature would you expect? It would be an exponential drop, wouldn't it?
Well, it's a square. That's not exponential. You don't understand the term exponential.
No, it is exponential.
No, it's not exponential. An exponent. You're talking about a power. It's a power relationship. It's x squared. An exponential.
As it gets further away. Correct.
That's not the same as exponential. An exponential is a very specific mathematical term where it's the variable is in a power. So something like 2 to the power of x. That's an exponential relationship. X squared is a power relationship.
Okay.
I would expect the curve to get more at distance, Anthony. That would be my expectation based on the 8 inches per mile squared and a power, as Rumpus calls it. I would expect to see the curve being increased at distance.
So what is the correct word? If you don't like square the distance.
What's the correct word? If you don't like an exponential drop, what would
well, okay, we'll go with it. It's a very sloppy, but if you're comfortable with exponential, we'll stick with it. It's sloppy, but
excellent. So what will happen if we double the distance is we will see an exponential increase in curve. Thank you very much, Rumpus. That's brilliant.
Well, it's only, put it like this: someone who's mathematically competent wouldn't use that term, but if in the everyday term,
so if you're mathematically competent and can't suggest an alternative,
okay, so squared. The drop is proportional to the square of the distance. That's how you should say it.
Right. So with regards to the hypothesis, the scientific hypothesis, if you were to double the distance of Soundly's observations of 16 miles, what would you expect to happen with the result of the curve?
It'd be 4 times. You square the distance. So.
Excellent. So, Nath, could you share my screen, please?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. This is Blackpool Tower. You've seen this before many times.
Hold on, let me... I can't. Oh, right. So I have to click on your thing, do I? Right.
This is Blackpool Tower, Rumpus, and it's from double the distance. We shouldn't see most of this tower.
Right. There's some doubt about I haven't done the work on this. I think yes, you've picked on the one thing I'm not familiar with.
Oh, come on.
Well, I'm not familiar with I haven't looked into this as to where the blob. I mean, for a start, you've got to work out how much of the tower you're seeing. Now, as I understand, it's 518 feet high, and there's the bottom. I think the elevation of the base is something like 11 meters. The thing underneath the tower is another 5 stories.
Let's be clear with the height. The height goes from where the pedestrian entrance is.
That's not the pedestrian entrance.
That's what it says. If you research it, you'll find out the height of
that light there is not the pedestrian entrance.
It's measured from the highest point, not including the flag.
Oh, sorry, the height is, yes, the height is. So I thought you were pointing at that blob and claiming that was a pedestrian entrance.
No, the height of a building is measured from the height of the building, not including any flagpoles on the top, down to the point where the pedestrian entrance is.
Yes, okay. Just you're pointing that blob, implying that was a pedestrian entrance, and it isn't.
It's at street level.
No, it's not. That red blob you're looking at is not street level.
No, I'm not saying that the red blob.
Okay, keep on pointing and saying that.
Sorry, why are you doing this, Rumpus? Why are you conflating and obfuscating and confusing this point? He's made it very clear. The red blob, you've just confirmed it, is not the pedestrian entrance. He's confirmed it back and now you've done it again. My question is, why are you such a cock?
But why are you such an idiot, Nathan?
Right, no, that doesn't answer my question. So I'll ask for a 13th time to get us back on track. Where is your scientific evidence for Earth curve, Rumpus? Because we're on to us presenting our evidence of it's flat, you saying you don't know about it and you haven't seen it before, and then seeming to know various details about it, and then claiming ignorance again. So you are being a cock, and I'm going to just bring you back onto where is your scientific proof of Earth curve. Because at some stage during this conversation about this tower, you will insert a presuppositional argument that the Earth is curved and that light is bending around it with refraction. That is what you will do. At which point I will ask a 14th time for your evidence of that curvature.
Do you deny refraction then, Nathan? Do you deny the existence of refraction?
Right. No, I don't deny refraction.
Good.
I deny
Right,
that there is a presupposed curve and that light bends around that curve. I am asking now for a 14th time for you, the Rumpus, to provide scientific proof of that curve.
Pictures from NASA.
That's not verifiable in any way, shape,
Absolutely
or
verifiable.
form.
All the
No,
countries who've got
it isn't.
space age.
I cannot go up and take a picture from space. You cannot go up and take a picture of space. Anthony cannot do it, and neither can Mark. When I clarified this earlier by requesting to know who we is absolutely nobody on this panel. None of us can go and take a picture of the Earth from space. So we don't have a picture of Earth from space. We have men in white coats, an appeal to authority by Rumpus. So you might like to appeal to authority. I'm asking for scientific proof.
Do you believe in atoms?
Right. I will ask you again. This is a flat Earth debate, and I would ask for proof for a 15th time from Rumpus. I would like scientific proof of Earth curvature.
Oh, you can talk about the experiments that George Natayuk has done. He's just, last year, he did observations personally himself over a lake in which he made observations moving sticks, flagpoles, for a certain distance, which I can show you pictures of, that he did, and he demonstrated that using a theodolite to measure the curve, that as he referred things further away, they went down in proportion to exactly what we'd expect for a curved Earth. He personally did that.
And you would call that scientific proof in the last
Absolutely,
year.
did it very thoroughly.
So
very
Soundly and this guy are giving us what we call scientific proof.
Well, I need to know what you consider scientific proof. Apparently, someone who we
is that scientific proof that he has presented? The answer is a simple no. I've asked him for scientific proof. He's given me yet another just so story, another example that is not scientific proof. I've asked him if it's scientific proof, and he's asking me what would qualify. So far, I'm now on the 16th time for asking this question. Rumpus, I'm going to assume something right here, right now, that you don't have any scientific proof of Earth curvature.
I do.
Can you present it, please? 17th time. Can you present proof that is scientific in nature of Earth curvature, please?
George Natayuk's experiment.
That's not scientific proof of Earth curvature.
It is.
What's the independent variable? What's the independent variable?
Oh, to raise the bollocks. He's no idea about anything. The guy's an utter moron. Anyway, with the independent variable in his case was moving the flagpoles at different distances and getting different observations. So he did actually conduct an experiment that qualified this idiot quantum raiser who has absolutely no understanding of anything and goes on about things like Coriolis force. He doesn't understand the equations for that, whereas I do. He doesn't understand the rotation of the atmosphere with the Earth. He doesn't understand you can have local. He doesn't even understand that gravity attracts atoms and therefore it contains the atoms of the atmosphere. He thinks that.
So what's this? Sorry, what's this guy's name, Rumpus? What's this guy's name? What's this guy's name again?
George Natayuk.
Please, can you find me a scientific journal that references George's work in regards to proving that we have a curved Earth? Can you find me a
so anything in a scientific journal would satisfy you, would it?
No, I'm asking for that specific example that you have just given, used in that context. Do you have
Right,
that?
so when you want scientific proof, I'm only allowed to give you things that are in scientific journals. Is that correct?
No, I'm asking for this example that you have just presented. I'm testing whether or not it classes as scientific proof or not.
Well, how do you test that? How do you test whether something qualifies as scientific proof?
I'll ask for an 18th time because he keeps asking me what I qualify as scientific proof rather than just presenting his scientific proof of Earth curvature. So, how many more times do I have to ask the same question? Is it going to get on to 20? Are we going to get into triple digits? Is it going to be the case that every time I get you on this show, Rumpus, I have to ask you for your scientific proof of Earth curve and watch you fail 19 times?
What do you consider
I would like
scientific
your
proof?
scientific proof of Earth curvature. Please don't interrupt me. I'm asking the same question again, Rumpus. You just keep failing to answer it. So what is your scientific proof that Earth is curved?
What do you consider scientific proof?
I would like to see what you present as scientific proof, then I will scrutinise it based on what you put in front of me.
I'll put in front of you NASA photographs. I'll put in front of you scientific journals.
You're putting NASA photographs, so something that I can't verify.
Well, do you believe in the existence of atoms? I mean,
yeah, we're going to get up to 19 times of asking, aren't we? I don't care about China. I don't care about atoms, and I certainly don't care about unverifiable information from NASA. I am simply not interested. I am interested in scientific proof of Earth curvature. Do you have any 20th time of asking?
I have all the scientific evidence you could ever want is accessible to you and me.
Present
and
it,
I rely on it.
please.
I take
Please
it as being peer-reviewed. Everybody, if that stuff was untrue, if it was untrue, there'd be someone who'd be getting an enormous prize. If anybody could disprove that scientific literature, they would be lauded and receive all sorts of prizes. So something like that shadow you and Ranty put up the other day, which was so obviously ridiculous, and I've got an animation to demonstrate how it's a part of a boat. For instance,
no, we seem to be obfuscating the point and moving on to something that we've got wrong. Admittedly, in science, you get things wrong and you falsify what you do. So I would like to see your scientific proof of Earth curvature. 21 times I've had to ask the same question. Now we're on to something that we've got wrong and conceded we've got wrong. You're trying to...
Oh, have you conceded that, have you?
Trying to obfuscate the point. Do you have scientific proof of Earth curvature? 22 times asking.
But you see, you don't accept scientific journals, so I can't cite scientific journals. You see, you don't accept.
Cite whatever you like. Present it, and I will scrutinise it. Present it, and I will scrutinise it. So far, you keep going to NASA. We've had NASA, Soundly, and the Sun. That's what you presented, and some guy called George, who you seem to have quickly abandoned.
Do you accept the validity of scientific journals then?
So are you going to abandon this George guy, or what? What's the score with
this
George guy?
I'm perfectly happy with that. I don't know what he's published in scientific journals, but I can show you I can show you the pictures of him if you like. I can show you the pictures he has if you like.
But this is these pictures on YouTube, they would be considered scientific proof enough to be referenced in future demonstrations of Earth curvature. That's your classification.
Well, actually,
that's your standard. Is this your quite literally pathetic standard of scientific evidence?
I will give you scientific journals if you like, but you don't accept anything, Nathan. That's the problem. There's nothing. This is why I've been trying to determine what you accept.
We haven't got anything. So far, we've been given Sunsets, NASA, and Soundly, and some guy called George. So 2 relatively recent history YouTubers and the Sun. That's what you've got.
Got NASA, scientific journal. I've got your own personal experience.
Yeah, you're repeating the lists that I've just repeated back to you. So, yeah, I know what the list is. I've asked the question 21 times.
But the thing is, you reject all these concrete pieces of evidence.
That's not concrete evidence. Soundly is absolutely, definitely not scientific proof of Earth curvature. Neither is this YouTuber George guy. Neither is the Sun. And neither is NASA. Total and utter fail.
You're not prepared to accept verified scientific papers as proof.
What have you going to present them? What have you got? You haven't presented anything. Present them. What? You're making it sound like I've rejected some paper that you've put in front of us. So if you want to put some scientific journal in front of us that proves Earth curvature scientifically, then we will scrutinise that. That is not what you have presented, Rumpus. You have presented the Sun, NASA, Soundly, and this George YouTuber guy.
And Anthony...
So, what documents are you going to present? You want to put them up so we can scrutinise them or not?
Sorry, what was it? Well, I missed the start of that.
Oh, no problem. I'll ask for a 22nd time. That's absolutely no problem at all. Clearly, you are deaf, dumb or ignorant. Can you please provide scientific proof of Earth curvature? 23 times of asking the exact same question. So far, the only things we've got are Soundly, The Sun, NASA, and some George YouTube guy from a year ago.
All the whole body of science. We've got that. Would you like that?
Yes,
you want
please.
Me to present the whole body of science.
Yes, please. Pop it up on screen.
Excellent. So you want a scientific paper on the
I'll ask it again. It's no problem, Rumpus. Isn't a problem. I can ask it for a 23rd, a 24th, and a 25th time. So, can you provide scientific proof? Hi, Sly. How are you doing?
Well, apparently I didn't want to get booted off because you're supposed to
it's
say
good. I'd
hi
rather you
when come
interrupted.
in.
Thank you.
It's like
What's going on? Can you put that Blackpool picture back up, please?
Why are you obfuscating my question to Rumpus? So I need to have some scientific proof of Earth curvature, and I think we're on time 24 of me asking for it, Sly. So no, we can't put the picture of Blackpool up. We're in the middle of, well, we're kind of in the middle of it. It's kind of getting a bit, what's the word? Tedious. Me asking over and over again for scientific proof of Earth curvature, which isn't being presented. I'm told that I will.
Proof, though, Nathan.
Yeah, I'm told by you that I'll reject all of science. But
you
I won't.
Do. Yes,
you've
what
not,
you're doing. Yes.
Well, you've not presented anything. You've presented NASA, Soundly, George, and the Sun.
So scientific paper. Right.
Yeah, but Nathan, why don't you answer his question?
Well, I'm the one asking the question, so he'll answer my question.
I get that. That's fair.
Yes, but I'm trying
at the same time, he's trying to respond to you.
Yes, I'm trying to tune my answers to the level of skepticism that you're employing.
So no, I'm asking specifically. I'm not employing any skepticism at all because you haven't presented anything. You have not presented scientific proof of Earth curvature. That is simply not something that you have presented yet for me to scrutinise. As and when you do present something, you're saying I reject all of science. You've not presented all of science. You have presented NASA, George, the Sun. That's what you've presented. That's not all of science.
Okay, what is proof to you then?
Exactly.
You show me, Sly.
Yeah, but you won't say what it is. What is proof to you?
I don't have to. You have to present it to me. Then I will scrutinise it. So don't tell me what will you be finding acceptable, because so far we've been given things that are unacceptable, and I have not accepted them. So if you've got something better, Sly, feel free to pop it on the table, and I will scrutinise it, along with Anthony and Mark, and everybody watching. We will all laugh if you present NASA again. We will all laugh if you present Soundly again. Because I'm asking for the 26th time for scientific proof.
NASA. I want to present Blackpool. That's your stuff.
Let's go for Blackpool, shall we? Yeah.
So does Anthony? So you're saying that Anthony is a fully fledged and accredited and accepted scientist with scientific proof of Earth curvature? Is that what Anthony is?
I'm saying that the stuff he presents, even though incorrectly, shows curvature.
Sorry. Does that qualify as scientific proof of Earth curvature, Sly? Yes.
Yes.
Or you
but
think
you
it
don't
does?
Accept
Excellent. So Anthony's a fully fledged scientist with scientific proof of Earth curvature.
When we present to you scientific papers, you reject them. So we don't know what to present.
You haven't presented anything.
Can I ask it in a different way?
Don't talk it around. Don't talk around it.
Let's try this in a different way.
Don't talk around it. Bring it up. Don't talk around it. Bring it up.
I think what Nathan's trying to say is that when we go into the refraction calculator that you guys like to use...
Don't care about it. Don't care about it.
The maths is based on 7/6R.
Don't care about it.
And the 7/6 bit is a debate in itself, and the R bit is the point Nathan's pointing out. And what I'm trying to say is that if you're going to calculate with a presumption that there is a radius, you need to prove that there's a radius there in the first place.
Don't care about it.
That's what Nathan's saying.
I understand that, but I don't care about that. Bring the Blackpool pictures up.
Just quick injection slide. I'm keen on you to do the Blackpool thing. Let's quickly respond to that. Yes, but we have Anthony. If you really wanted to know the radius of the Earth, you could go to St. Bees. You could hire a theodolite for about £25 a day, and you could see the dip from the horizontal you'd have to do to hit the horizon. And with that one observation, you could then do what the chap in the 11th century did. We did it from a mountain, but he didn't have the equipment that you could have. You could, from that angle and knowing the distance, you could work out the radius of the Earth yourself, personally, with just one measurement for 25 quid.
I've already said this on a dozen occasions. I'm not interested in what we could do, how we can go out and prove it to ourselves. I'm interested, time number 27, I think, in your scientific proof of Earth curvature. Not what we could go out And if somebody in 11 BC went and did it from a mountain, and you're saying that that's acceptable scientific position, scientific proof of Earth curvature, then present that, and we'll have a little look at it.
Are the photos from Blackpool scientific evidence for you that the Earth is flat?
Right. I will ask Sly if he understands that in his model, it necessitates a curve that has everything in it being bent around it. Therefore, in the images of the Isle of Man, we have the entire island looming. Do you understand that, Sly? Do you now understand this detail? Or do you need me and Rumpus
I understand that you will not answer a question.
You just said you don't care earlier. When we talked about refraction, you said over the top of Anthony on several occasions, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care. And in reality, Sly, it's not that you don't care. It seems evident from previous shows that it's not that you don't care, you don't understand. Now, your ignorance and your care are very different things. I'm here to educate you about your bullshit model that you don't understand.
What don't we understand?
Wait, no, Rump, hold on a second. Let me answer that. You claim that I don't understand about numbers. You guys couldn't even get the height of a fucking hill.
Don't swear on my show. That's your first warning. Number two, you came in last time, you went away with your tail between your legs when I had you up against the wall pointing out that the entire Isle of Man is looming. And when I asked you if you understood it, you said, I will have to go and check the numbers. Not, Nathan, yes, I do understand it. Nathan, so, I'm now trying to establish with you if you understand it yet, Sly. Do you understand it now, or do I need to explain it to you?
All I understand is that your narcissism is stepping over the...
Yeah, don't call me a narcissist, just answer my question. Do you understand that the entire Isle of Man is looming in your model?
Yeah, pretty much.
You do understand it.
I'd like to qualify that.
You don't have to qualify anything, Rumpus. Let's just establish that we have now schooled Sly sufficiently to understand his own nonsense model, and he doesn't know. He no longer needs to go and check the numbers. He now comprehends that we don't have a direct line of sight with anything on the Isle of Man. None of it is where it is supposed to be, and the entire island is, by Rumpus's definition, looming. You understand
Nathan,
this,
how much looming
Sly,
do you think
right?
is going on? I'd be very interested to know how much looming you think is going on of that Isle of Man.
Yeah, looming. Yeah, it's all looming. The whole island. We all understand it except Sly, Rumpus. That's why I'm trying to establish with him whether or not he's started to comprehend his bullshit model or not.
All you are trying to establish is that you can't shut up, dude.
Nathan, how much do you think we think that the island has moved up?
Right. Do you have any scientific proof, Rumpus, of Earth curvature? Please can you present that for us now? I have asked you 28 times for your scientific proof of Earth curvature.
The whole of the scientific literature.
Do you want to provide that, or shall we move on to the ignorance that is Sly Sparkane?
Go for it.
Right. Do you understand, Sly, that the entire Isle of Man is looming, or do you still need to go and check the numbers on it?
Only a tiny bit.
I don't care about numbers,
Rumpus,
dude.
Do you understand what your name is and what Sly's name is?
That you won't
That's all right, Sly. I'll ask Rumpus again. Rumpus, for the 29th time, do you have any scientific proof of Earth curvature?
I have all the scientific literature in the world proving.
Excellent. Please present it.
Okay. Oh, great. So I can present.
Oh, geez. Oh, but Blackpool.
While I'm collecting that together.
All right, Sly. We'll get to you and your ignorance soon.
Bye.
Yeah, I would run away too with your tail between your legs, just like you did the last time, my friend. What a coward. Fun though. Fun to hold Sly's toes to the fire. On to Rumpus. 30th time of asking, Rumpus. Please can you show us your scientific proof of Earth curvature?
So you're happy for me to present scientific literature from accepted journals, is that?
So far we have had, in the first instance, your go-to was Soundly, followed by The Sun, followed by NASA, followed by another YouTuber called George. So far, that is what you have presented to my 30 times of asking for scientific proof of Earth curve.
Right, so the standard you're now applying the scientific one. So whatever I present to you now has to be of the quality that would appear in a scientific journal. Is that correct?
You present it, I will scrutinise it.
Yes, but do you see, I'm trying to tune my answer because I want to avoid, spending hours and hours me presenting evidence. You're going to say that doesn't qualify for me. So I'm trying to find out
that's exactly what I will do
satisfy
if
you.
it does not qualify. So just bear in mind that I won't just automatically accept things like, for example, but not limited to, Soundly, the Sun, NASA, and some YouTuber called George. Those things will not qualify as scientific evidence or scientific proof of Earth curvature. So I'll ask for a 31st time, as those are what we've got so far. You've alluded to having scientific proof, said that I've denied all of science, when I haven't, because you haven't presented any of it. So I'll ask for the 31st time, Rumpus. Please can you present your scientific proof of Earth curvature?
Right, and you're happy for me to present stuff from scientific
I'm happy for you to present whatever you choose, Rumpus, whatever you like.
Aha! So I can use stuff from scientific. Brilliant. Okay, so I'll go and get some...
Sorry, did you just say, so I can present stuff that is scientific?
From scientific literature. From scientific journals.
If it qualifies as scientific proof, then yeah, sure.
Well, what for you constitutes scientific proof?
We'll see what you've got, mate. We'll see what you've got.
Yes, but do you see that I'm trying to move the thing along by asking what it is that would qualify for you? If
you present it, I will scrutinise it, my friend. You're the one with the assertion that we live on a globe, so you feel free to present your evidence. Once you've presented it, we will all scrutinise it together like one big happy family.
Right. Okay. So I can present. Right. So if I go to an astronomical journal and get, say, some pictures of the moon, or sorry, pictures of the Earth, that presumably wouldn't count because you're going to say that's come from NASA or the Russians or the Japanese or something.
Can it be verified and falsified?
So I can present to you images taken from space.
Sorry, maybe you didn't hear my question. Can we verify and falsify that scientifically?
Yes, we can, because we know, for instance, we have satellites in position. We can
Sorry,
detect them
you don't understand what I mean when I say we. When you say we, you mean NASA. When I say we, I mean Mark, Ranty, Anthony, you, and me. Can I, you, we go and verify this?
Well, if you're prepared to accept the authority of peer-reviewed stuff, then yeah.
Right, so in other words, no, we have to accept an appeal to authority. Right, that would not be scientific evidence. That would be an appeal to authority or a man in a white coat or a religious belief. That isn't scientific proof now, is it, Rumpus? That's why your little Weasley qualifier came out straight away.
Well, the thing is, you are rejecting the whole of the...
Yeah, I don't want to hear again about me saying that I've rejected anything that you haven't yet presented, Rumpus, so... 32nd time of me asking this question. What do you have that qualifies as scientific proof of Earth curvature?
The whole body of science provides...
Yeah, I've heard this. I've heard the whole body of science, but you still don't seem to want to actually present any of it.
You want me to have done something? You mean me? I have to have gone to space myself?
No, I would like to be able to validate, verify, falsify those things myself.
Would you agree that the different space agencies verify their observational? They're always competing to outdo one another. So
I can't verify what NASA presents us on a television screen. No, I can't falsify or verify any of it.
Well, this is using, as I say, then you don't believe that you could say I can't provide you proof of the existence of atoms because I personally can't do that. Whereas
so you can't. Excellent. So is that an admission that you cannot provide scientific proof of Earth curvature?
I can provide scientific proof, but it's
not
science that I've created.
Okay, no problem. I'll ask for the 33rd time. Please, can you provide right now your scientific proof that the Earth curves?
When you say my scientific proof, am I allowed to quote scientific journals that other people have done?
Depends. Let's hear them.
All right, so I can use scientific journals.
You can try and present them, and we will scrutinise them.
Right. So if I present you with an astronomical journal, then that okay. All right. Let's go and find some astronomical journals then to have a look at. I mean, because apparently personal experiences you might have, like sunsets and sunrises and boats and things. I mean, we can still use a...
That's not scientific proof, is it?
Journal. Apparently now it has to appear in a journal for it to qualify.
No, that's not what I said. I haven't said it has to do anything. I've said, what is your scientific proof of Earth curvature? What you present is entirely up to you.
Right. but you reject anything I haven't personally done, like NASA.
Yeah, I haven't rejected something you haven't presented yet. I've rejected the following list. First thing out of your mouth, soundly, apparently qualifies as scientific proof of Earth curvature. No, it doesn't. Right. Second thing out of your mouth, a sunset. No, that does not qualify as solid scientific proof that the Earth is curving. That does not qualify. Next, we had NASA. NASA definitely doesn't qualify as scientific proof that the Earth curves. Next, we had another YouTuber called George. Then loads of bullshit about me denying the entire body of science. Not that that was in any way amongst the lists that I just revised back to you.
So you don't think that NASA... So when NASA publishes something in scientific journals, which they do all the time, you don't think that therefore qualifies as science? Is that what
Can
you're
I
saying?
falsify it and verify it?
How can
It's
it be
verified by other
verified?
people. It's peer reviewed.
Oh, right, so we're back to I can't falsify or verify it, but I have to appeal to the consensus opinion of the people in charge. So it is an appeal to authority rather than me being able to scientifically validate and verify this information. Correct?
But it's a different sort of... It's not just authority in the sense that they have authority. They have a peer review process that has evidence and scientific method behind it.
Right, so to answer my question, no. I cannot go and verify this.
Well, you can. Well, if you understood maths and science, you could. But you're not capable. You don't understand maths or science.
No.
sufficiently
Not
to do it.
verifying the mathematics. How many times do I have to ask this bloody question without you obfuscating it and twisting it into me not understanding maths? 34th time I've had to ask Rumpus. I don't get it, Rumpus. You are obviously dense. Like, beyond the point of stupid people, like to the point where you need to be asked the same question 34 times. Why do I have to ask 34 times if you have scientific proof of Earth curvature? Why is that, Rumpus?
You could use the scientific
just in
method,
case you haven't noticed,
personally.
that's a different question. So I'm asking a different question. Why do I have to ask you 34 times for scientific proof of Earth curvature? Why do I have to do that, Rumpus?
Because you haven't told me what you accept as...
I haven't told you what I'm accepting. I'm asking you to present, 35th time, scientific proof of Earth curvature. That's what I'm asking you to do. Don't ask me what I'll accept. Present it, and I'll see if I accept it, my friend.
Okay, so I'm allowed to present journals on...
Just make sure that it's capable of verification. That's the point.
You've got it, Anthony. See, Anthony, I didn't even have to ask Anthony the question once, and he understands it immediately.
Right, but you, unfortunately, you don't... I mean, you've got strange ideas. You don't even understand...
And you've got a bit of a stutter whenever you're in a corner. It's really amusing for my audience. It's not that you're actually stuttering because you have a speech impediment. It's because we've got you on the ropes and you stutter like a complete buffoon. It's funny, it's interesting, but ultimately speaking, I'm still on the 36th time of asking you for scientific proof of Earth curvature.
The body of science.
Did you just say again, for about the 12th time, the body of science? You have not presented the body of science. What you have presented is, in this order, soundly, the Sun, NASA, and some YouTuber called George, as scientific proof of Earth curvature. That is what you have presented. You have definitely not presented the entire body of science, Rumpus. Okay, you moron?
So
that's not what you have presented here.
Okay, so you're happy for me to present the body of science.
You haven't presented anything. I have asked 36 times for you to present your scientific proof of Earth curvature, and in this order you have presented soundly, the Sun, NASA, and some guy from YouTube called George. That is what you have actually presented. So I haven't rejected the entire body of science. You haven't presented the entire body of science.
Well, for instance,
I have just listed to you.
He rejects Snell's law, for instance. So the trouble is, I've got to
No. We don't reject Snell's law, and we don't reject refraction. Please don't put words into our mouths, Rumpus. I do not reject refraction, and I do not reject Snell's law. I reject your presuppositional argument that Earth has a curvature and light is refracted around said curvature. That is what I do not accept, not refraction or Snell's law. Those things are acceptable because you can scientifically validate and verify those things. That is why they are acceptable to me. However, it is definitely not acceptable to assume that Earth has a curve to it and assume that light is bent around that curve automatically without any evidence whatsoever being provided. And when asked and tasked and challenged to provide that evidence, you provide soundly the sun, NASA, and some guy called George on YouTube who made a video in the last year. That is what you have actually presented.
Well, okay, I will present. If you're happy for me to present scientific, the trouble is, you then qualified your acceptance of this as I have got to be able to verify this.
Yes, that would be scientific proof. Capable of being verified is absolutely definitely in amongst the things that I would require, Rumpus. Yes, that's correct.
Right. But the trouble is, you're not intellectually capable of verifying evidence presented to you.
Oh, is that so? Well, I'll be the judge of that, Rumpus, once you present
you would
something.
be, but your judge, unfortunately, it's your judgment that's the problem.
Yeah, no, it's not the problem. It's absolutely the solution. My judgment is all that matters here. My judgment is tantamount to God in this instance. All that matters here is my judgment on what you present. So far, what you have presented is absolute and utter garbage. And you seem like a complete idiot to me. That is my judgment.
Well, if I'm an idiot, I don't know what that makes you.
Yeah, it makes me the judge of how idiotic you are. That's what it makes me. And that makes me, in this chair, God in regards to my judgment. That is all that is important. Please present, I think it's the 37th time of asking, your scientific proof of Earth curvature, Rumpus.
Right, so you're happy for me to present a scientific journal? Okay.
Why do you keep repeating that I'm happy for you to present evidence that you still haven't presented after 39 times of me asking for scientific proof of Earth curvature? Are you now going to repeat back that I'm happy to accept evidence that you present? Because I will scrutinise your evidence once you present it, my friend.
Okay, but I need to find something. You can't understand maths or physics very well.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be a scientific proof of Earth curvature. That seems to be an ad hominem attack on me. So, let's cut the crap and get straight to, is it the 39th time of asking, your scientific proof of Earth curvature?
Well, the NASA pictures for any normal person, they do appear in scientific.
We've already had this on the list that I've said I have rejected on the basis that is not verifiable by me. So, that is not acceptable. We can move on. It's amongst the list of 4 things that you have presented but have totally failed. So, Rumpus, 40th time of asking, please can you present something that you consider to be scientific proof of Earth curvature, and once you do, I will scrutinise it.
Right, but unfortunately, a lot of the scientific journals that are going to do this are going to include things like information from NASA, and you're going to say, oh no, I cannot accept that piece of that scientific journal. It's been contaminated by NASA, or the Russian Space Agency, or the Japanese Space Agency, or the European Space Agency, or it's got I mean, you don't even accept the physics of gravity, for goodness sake, which means that we can't have a flat Earth because it would immediately collapse into a sphere.
Let's not establish what causes us to not be able to be capable of having a flat Earth. The question has been asked 41 times. What is your scientific proof of Earth curvature?
And you don't consider
and just answer the question and present some evidence, for God's sake, man.
Sunsets. I say you could go up a hill. Anthony could go with a theodolite to St. Bees, and Ranty could.
I'm not asking you to tell us what we could go and do to prove to ourselves that curvature exists. I'm asking for scientific proof that curvature exists.
You don't consider NASA science.
Yeah,
do you?
we can't
tell lies,
verify
dude.
it.
They don't tell any lies at all.
Verification.
Well, the trouble is, you're saying I will accept science, but actually you don't.
Just say that again, Rumpus. NASA don't tell any
does
lies
experiments that can be validated and verified. So those experiments are acceptable.
You can't verify it, Nathan. You're not capable.
If they are verifiable, I can verify
For
them.
instance, do you understand what trigonometry is? If I presented you a mathematical proof of the curvature of the Earth, would you understand the maths?
I wouldn't accept a mathematical proof because it wouldn't be scientific proof of Earth curvature. Now, would it, Rumpus? It would be a mathematical proof based on a presupposition that we have a curve to begin with.
No.
So rather than having this presuppositional curve that you prove with maths, I'm asking for your scientific proof of Earth curve, and you still, after 42 times of being asked, haven't actually presented it. You are now going to the theory and the mathematics.
Any space, presumably no space agencies that I'm allowed to. So any information I present from any space agency, you're going to reject.
No, if it's verifiable, then we will
How
accept
would you
it
what constitutes
once we have
verifiable?
verified it. So you present the evidence, we look at it, we might need to even take some time to go away and verify it, Rumpus. But so far, you haven't actually presented any scientific proof despite being asked 42 times to provide it.
But the trouble is you reject all the science unless you personally can
I
verify
don't
it.
need to hear about the troubles. I know this is very difficult for you, Rumpus, and how much awkward state it's left you in. How difficult it is for you to actually go and find this stuff, and how difficult it is to actually satisfy the requirements stipulated when I say the words scientific proof. I understand how difficult that is for you, and I'm not going to give you a single concession to make it easy. What do you think this is?
Yeah, but you reject half the sources of science.
Only if we can't verify them, my friend. So
But
what have you got that
constitutes
you present what we can, and then we'll go away and verify it, my friend. It's not that difficult to understand.
But you don't understand maths or physics.
Maths and physics are not scientific proof of Earth curvature, Rumpus. You seem to keep conflating what I'm asking with something that you want to give me. I've not given you any concessions. I don't want you to theoretically prove that there's curve, and I don't want you to give me an example of where I can go away and prove it to myself with the theodolite at St. Bees. I want you to provide, 43rd time asking, scientific proof of Earth curvature. That is what I want.
You have to be able to verify the evidence I present, and that means you have to
that
be
would
able
be
to understand
scientific
it.
now, wouldn't it? That would be scientific.
Gents, can I ask a question?
Science does not depend on your understanding of it, Nathan, because your
Rumpus, let me
understanding is
ask you a
very
question.
poor.
Requires verification, though,
We've
doesn't
got
it?
Anthony here who denies.
Needs to be
Rumpus, can I ask a
falsified,
question?
though, doesn't it?
Right,
Yes,
let me ask you a question, Rumpus. Can
Yeah.
science show any examples or proofs that water can curve?
Water.
Or conform to the exterior of a shape, as Dell would put it?
Well, we've got pictures of it from NASA.
Okay, can you show them?
That's such perfect proof.
Okay, I mean, just a picture of the Earth will do.
Yeah, show us a picture from NASA.
Okay, right, let me. Right.
He just wants his damn ball. He doesn't care. It's just gonna whine on until he can present
Yeah,
his
prove it.
freaking NASA pictures.
All right, let's not antagonize him. Let's see his
Sick
evidence.
moron.
You're more. Oh, and you don't even know what trigonometry is. You're not qualified to even participate.
All right, stop. Let's just see what evidence you pull up.
Yeah, you freaking Nazi.
Yeah, it just happened to be based on
You're a
reality.
freaking Nazi.
No,
You're
Come on, come on.
Right,
Stop.
Fascist.
Come on.
Arwin, shush. Let him present some evidence.
Right, so where's that gone? Where's my picture of the? What's going on here? I'm doing this in
Oops.
what? Ah, that's why I couldn't do it. Okay, right, sorry. Let me skim that general.
Population control globe head.
Yeah, I mean, you're so
Nazi.
ignorant. You're
You're a freaking
Can we stop
Nazi.
with the ad homs? Stop it. Let's see what evidence he's got.
right. I mean, okay, let's just
And
start.
obviously, the evidence is then going to follow the question or precede the question. How do we verify this to be true? You know that, right?
Yeah. Okay. So here, right. So there. Can you see that?
Yes, lovely.
Lovely. So lovely. That's was it taken by 1972 by the Blue Marble picture. There we have. That's coming back from the Apollo 17, coming back to Earth, and this would appear in scientific journals. So
let's talk about the scientific
because he hasn't been there. Because he can't take this picture. Apparently, I'm not allowed to. It doesn't qualify for him as evidence.
The scientific model, Rumpus, for
validate
this to be accepted as science, it has to be capable of being verified. Correct?
Yeah. Well, the Russians have been flapping about. We've said the Japanese have got a satellite up there at the moment. Hamaroi, whatever it's called, that bloody Japanese satellite takes a picture every 10
All
minutes.
right, well, let's verify this science in a way that nobody else can verify. Right? Nobody can get up to that point in space and verify it. And even if they could,
we have. People have done that.
all right.
We have been there.
What percentage of the Earth is covered by water, Rumpus?
Seems
Roughly.
like 70%.
Correct. How much of that? How much of the land that we see, given that we see 50% of it, how much would you say is being covered just by Africa?
You want the percentage that Africa constitutes of
Based
all
on the evidence
land?
that you're looking at right now. How
I
much
see.
land? How much of this surface of the Earth is covered by land, based on what you're looking at right now?
I'm not entirely sure I
This is
understand your
the
question,
very
but that's about
small-
what?
this
So
is the
10,
very,
15,
very
15,
tiny globe.
15, 20% of the whole surface of the Earth, possibly by Africa, 10% perhaps?
Sure. Now, does that look proportionate to the size of the land that we're supposed to see when the land is only meant to be 30% of the total land of the Earth? We're seeing 50% of that 100%, we're expecting to see 30% coverage at most. That looks more than 30% to me.
Well, don't forget, we are quite close to the Earth here. Remember, we're not seeing the half of the Earth.
Yeah,
Why would that make a
sense, man.
difference?
We're
Well,
so
it means
close
that
that it's still a
if we can't
globe.
verify it by
but you
physically
actually
flying
get
up
to
there in
see
a
a smaller
rocket.
part. that
I
makes
can't
more
hear you,
sense.
Bavarwin's witterings.
If we can't physically fly up there ourselves to take a picture of
Which
it,
we
we can
can.
check
Not
and
personally,
validate.
yes. Not personally, yeah, right.
We can check and validate how much land is, and is it consistent with what we would expect to see? Now we see the land mass at the base there, Antarctica.
Yeah.
We see that we're looking at the predominantly Africa, and that to me looks like it's disproportionately more land than what
Right,
we
you're
should
using
see.
right. You do understand. Have you got a globe in your house, Anthony? And if you,
Yes.
great. Now, if you go to your globe and you move the camera to quite close to the surface, you will get the right. So you're basically claiming it's yes. You're wondering why we can't see bits of Europe and things. Right. If you go to if you can you can change the focal length of your magnification zoom on your camera. If you go close to your globe and then do a wide angle
Sorry,
shot.
what do you mean? Why are we talking about a globe now? We're talking about Earth, and you seem to be getting him to verify this in small scale with a globe in his lounge. So what about him going out and actually doing this with the actual thing that we're discussing, Rumpus? So we're talking about photography of the Earth. Why is it that he's now having to verify photography of the Earth with a scale model globe in his house?
Because he asked me a question.
Why have we sidestepped going and verifying it
The
and
answer is
taking this
because we
picture
can't
ourselves?
verify it, Rumpus.
No, I'm trying to explain to you why you might be getting this photographic effect.
No, I understand what you're trying to do, but do you realize that by trying to explain to me why I can't do something, it's because you can't do it yourself? Which
No,
is
you
verify
can do it. No, you can do it.
No, we can't
Excellent.
verify
So
this to be
we
true.
can go and
Hang
take
on.
and replicate
Nathan,
this picture,
You're not
Rumpus.
sharing his screen, by the way.
I've had it up. I've put it up for the
All
audience a
right.
couple of times.
Nobody can see it really.
Yeah, I have put it up. But anyway, the point
But
is...
nobody can verify this to be true.
Right,
Dan.
hold on.
Can't go
Anthony's
there, right?
claim this is not valid because the amount of land we're seeing is disproportionate to the size of the Earth. So therefore he's saying there's a problem with this view. And I'm demonstrating to him, or explaining to him, how he can get the same effect with a globe.
No. Not the same effect, Rumpus. Are you dense? Are you really this stupid? We need the same view, not the same effect. What can't you understand about what verification is? We don't go and take a picture and go, look, you can verify it by going and making a scale model and taking a picture of that. We would need to actually go and take a picture of the same thing. In this case, the Earth. What part of that don't you get? It's not verifying anything by going into his lounge and taking a picture of a model of the Earth. We need to verify this picture by going and taking it.
And I'm doing that. I'm doing that because he's made a point. He said, hold on, this picture is not compatible with our models of the Earth.
No. Not compatible with the models. I don't think I heard those words come out of his mouth. What it is not compatible with is what Earth looks like. Earth doesn't look like a ball. That's what I say it's incompatible with. I'm trying to get you to provide scientific proof of a ball, and this is what you provided us with, something that we cannot verify. And you are suggesting that we go and verify it by taking a picture of the model of this picture, which is utter nonsense. We need to actually verify this stuff by taking a picture of the same thing. Repeating the experiment. What a shock. Being able to repeat stuff is scientific. So
Which we've done. The Hammer Eye.
We're back to we have done it. You've just asked the we on this panel, in this instance Anthony, not to go and verify it by taking a picture of the same thing, but by going and taking a picture of a globe model. So that is not we have verified anything. You're going to now appeal to authority and tell us that Russia has done it, or China has done it, or another controlling elite that you appeal to because you cannot verify this yourself. Neither can we. That's our point. That's why it's not scientific proof.
Get the same effect with a globe.
Yeah, you keep saying this word effect. I'm not interested in the same effect. I'm interested in getting the exact same picture to verify the picture. Not verify the effect. We're looking at scientific proof. Do you understand the difference between theory and proof and facts and reality? Do you understand the difference, Rumpus? You love these protected silences from Rumpus.
I think, has he been kicked?
I don't think so. He's just popped himself on mute.
Can I, whilst he's on mute, can I make a quick presentation for the benefit of Rumpus? I'm going to make a hypothesis. I'm going to show my hypothesis, and then I'm going to show proof that my hypothesis is true.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so here is my hypothesis that Father Christmas is true. I predict that Father Christmas has a red hat, bit of white on it, beard, generally quite a chunky kind of guy. That's my hypothesis. Here's my evidence that it's actually true.
It's not been peer-reviewed, Anthony, has it? It's not been peer-reviewed. You know this is silly. You know this is silly.
There is a photograph of Father Christmas with a red hat on, bit of white, beard, portly kind of guy. Therefore, my conclusion is that Father Christmas is real.
It's not been peer-reviewed, though, has it, Anthony? You know this is silly.
Yeah, but your photo from space hasn't been peer-reviewed.
Yes, the Hammurabi satellite we've got does this. The Russian satellite agency, the European Space Agency.
So what I said Rumpus would do, it's taken about 35 seconds for him to do. So he has appealed, rather than to the actual we on the panel, to get scientific verification of any of this pictures that he's presenting as proof of a globe, rather than we can actually verify it, Russia have verified it, precisely as predicted. It's funny how predictable Rumpus really is.
You could personally verify it yourself for 25 quid, going to St. Bees and taking a measurement of the position of the dip angle to the horizon. You could.
So let me get this straight. I want to verify a picture that you have now presented as proof that is scientific in nature of the Earth curve, and you're telling me that I can verify that picture by going to St. Bees with a theodolite.
You can generate that and prove to you that Earth curves exist for 25 quid, and you could save yourself years of idiocy.
It's a slant. It doesn't persist.
You could do it yourself for 25 quid, borrow a theodolite.
Yeah, I'll say it again. It's clearly the 42 times of saying it already is completely lost on the Rumpus. We are looking for not an exercise that we can go out and do. We are looking for your scientific proof of Earth curve. 43 times I've asked to ask you, and you keep going back to...
What do you leave me with? You don't accept the maths. You don't accept physics. You deny things like Snell's law. You deny photographic...
No, we do not deny things like Snell's law. I made this nice and clear earlier. Things that have scientific proof that is verifiable by me can be accepted, and I'm sure there's instances that NASA present that are verifiable. However, you have presented a picture of the Earth from space. Now we're at the stage where we would like to verify it, and we cannot. We, being the people on this panel.
Yes, but the only verification you accept is one where you personally go up there and do the same thing.
Yeah, that would be repeating an experiment. That would be the scientific way of doing things, Rumpus. That is how you validate something, by repeating it. And as it stands, we can't repeat that photograph, can we now?
Not personally, but...
Oh, right. So we have to appeal to authority. We have to accept... on trust, on faith, that the Russians or the Chinese have done it, right? No, Rumpus, that doesn't qualify as scientific proof, because it's not verifiable. It's simple bullshit. That's all it is. So, I don't know why.
I would really like to know if you believe in the existence of atoms.
What's this got to do with scientific proof of Earth curvature?
I'll develop it if you answer this simple question. Do you or do you not believe in the existence of atoms?
Right. Do I have to ask for the 44th time for your scientific proof of Earth curvature, or will you just continually obfuscate for pretty much the entire 2 hours of this show, just demonstrating over and over again that you have no scientific proof of Earth curvature?
All science says so.
Yeah, we're back to this. You reject all of science, even though so far we've had a list of 5 things. We have had soundly, then we have had the sun, then we have had NASA, then we have had George from YouTube, then we have had a Blue Marble, I believe Blue Marble 2007, and straight away we have a problem because we can't verify it. Can we?
Because you are not capable of understanding science. That's the problem.
Yeah, sure. Your glow pictures have been peer reviewed.
Hold on, Owen, you've got a new guest.
That makes a lot of sense, Rumpus.
Good to have you.
A lot of bullshit is coming out of you.
Oh, you're swearing.
Terrible,
You're
terrible
swearing, Owen.
bullshit.
Have you learned what trigonometry is yet, Owen? You talk about geometry, you've no idea what even trigonometry is. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. I do know what trigonometry
Oh,
is.
you
just said
discovered it now,
that
have
the
you?
globe
Oh, well
pictures
done.
were peer-reviewed.
Yes, and they've been
Absolutely
verified
ridiculous
independently.
statement.
We have Japanese satellites doing the
How
same. We have
can you
Russian
peer
satellites
review
doing the same thing.
freaking pictures? You're
We
an
have
idiot. You're a
independent
complete and
verification,
total
though.
idiot and a fraud and a freaking
Independent
Nazi,
And
Rumpus.
you reject, you regard science as oppressive.
Can
because
I
it's
just say that we have a
not
new guest?
subjective.
Can I just say we have a new guest, and I'd like to welcome Del, seeing as though nobody else has spotted that he's in. And for the next 5 minutes, Arwin, let the guy speak, because it's about time that Rumpus had felt the flat down from Del. So welcome, Del.
How you doing? You all right, mate? How's it going, guys?
Good to have you.
Well, we're struggling
Hi,
with verification of scientific claims, Del. Perhaps you could help.
Well, that seems to be the problem. Seems to be a real lack of understanding of what science actually is and what the scientific method involves. You know, people are too quick to jump to these observations, which, you know, I have to point out are always straight out observations. So, you know, before I digress into anything else, I would just like to point out position, say somewhere like Irvine on the west coast of Scotland. Now, looking at Ailsa Rock in Irvine, I can have Ailsa Rock in the middle, and I can have a landmass at the right of me, and I can have a landmass at the left of me. Between those two landmasses is 40 miles. Now, on a sphere, the sphere has to curve equally in every direction. So part of the sophist tactics that the globe religion likes to use is it likes to play on perspective and the lack of scientific understanding and experimentation in regards to perspective. So it uses sophism to play on the effects that happen straight out in front of us. Now, on a ball from left to right between these two landmasses of 40 miles, there has to be a deviation from one to the other in curvature. Now, anybody can test this for themselves. You don't need to debate endlessly about straight out observations. You can take these 2 points of landmass.
Have you got a picture?
Put a straight edge up to it, and
You got a picture?
if there's any deviation from one point to the other point, there is none. That's why the line is called the horizon. It's a straight level line. Now,
have you got a picture?
Before you even, can you just stop interrupting me, please? Because this type of stupidity is just exactly what riles me up. Now, unless you're capable of having rational, logical, adult discussions without butting in, I'm just going to leave you to your echo chamber and your absolute lunacy. So, first principles have to be first established.
Such a good piece of evidence, why haven't you brought it as a picture?
When we're talking about science, we have to be talking about actual tangible substances, no visibles. Okay, images and videos
Where's the evidence?
Is measurable scientific proof. We have to talk about and deal with actual substances.
Claiming this picture, and we need to see.
First and foremost, we have to look at the substance of water that everybody is looking over. Now, the first premise should be the understanding that everybody can test liquid, any liquid. We can understand its physical behaviours and, you know, what it is bound by, the physical laws. So we can understand that any liquid does not have the ability to display rotundity upon its surface. Any standing body of water will be level from one point to the other. If it's not, the water will flow. That's just how reality works. Water flows from high points to low points and it settles level. If there's a force acting upon it like wind or current, you have waves and swells, but the body of water from one landmass to the other must be level. So there's a first principle that everybody should start from before they head out for observations, because all that we're going to get is an endless circle of globe believers playing on the lacking understanding of perspective with straight out observations where we don't have an exacting science on how perspective is actually working. But the first principle that we know and that we have to agree on before we can move forward is that any standing body of water from one landmass to the other is level. That is a scientific fact, demonstrable, testable, repeatable by every single person alive. Now, unless any of these people can get on board with the first principles, the fundamental facts of reality, the discussion will never progress. It's a never-ending loop of opposing views based on flawed images of straight-out perspective views of ships going over bendy curves in water. You know, it's just nonsense. So there has to be an established, you know, first principles before anybody can move forward. So that's what I've got to say on the matter. All this bickering about the lack and understanding of perspective and how it works it just plays into the baller's hands. They don't have an exacting science. They have cherry-picked images, lowering the camera, you know, waiting for swells, waiting for high tides, waiting for a ship to go into the dip of a swell, taking an image. It's pointless.
They usually use the refraction zone and zoom in on that specific curve slant.
Well,
but we've been actually working out the science of optics pretty elaborately these last few months.
The thing about refraction is what they have to establish is that refraction happening coming to the eye or going from the eye. They just keep throwing these zingers out there and nobody's establishing anything.
But they have their refraction, what they use for their refraction formula, which is clearly a fraud. So they say that that refraction causes light to bend around the imaginary curve, as it were. But there is an actual refraction that we can see, and we've actually figured out how that works. It is basically the light bending up refraction, which causes a single slant to happen. And things beyond that point are hidden within that refraction zone slightly, but you can still see very far into the distance in a straight line, and a curvature would require a cumulative drop.
No growling.
So we did figure it out, and we even got like a paper with formulas and everything of somebody who figured it out how that works.
I appreciate that, Arwen, but you know, I would like people to pay attention to what I've just laid out there. There has to be ground set, there has to be first principles and an understanding of what people are actually talking about. So if you take it right to the beginning, we're talking about science, but not just science. Science has subdivisions. You have the natural sciences, the formal sciences, and the social sciences. The globe Earth invokes purely mathematics, which is a formal science. It is a language which can be manipulated. Starting from any axiom, you can create a mathematical construct. The focus that people have to have is the natural sciences, which depends on empirical observations, tangible substances, and measurements of such. So that's what has to be applied to it. Mathematics does not count in any way, shape, or form unless it is backed up by practicality. End of story. So if they don't have the practicality, the demonstrations, it's useless. So, you know, it can be very easy, and you can just cut these people off by establishing these first principles and sticking to the actual facts. If people can't agree on the fundamentals, then there is no progression ever going to be had. So
we got a good point, but they just don't do it anyway.
Well, you know, they become irrelevant then, you know, and they're absolutely useless to any conducive conversations or progressive discussions. It's pointless. So as I said, left to right, take a landmass, you know, 40 miles between the two, never mind the straight out observations where perspective is coming into, you know, play. Take the two land masses, observe between them 40 miles and see if there's a deviation from this point to that point. You will find it as a perfectly straight line. So that's not a globe.
Yeah. Now, indeed, like over a distance, there is the slant effect because of refraction. So it falls slightly downwards, but it's only a one drop and a straight line from there on. It's not a curve-like drop that the further you go, the deeper it falls. And that is what we have proven with a lot of observations and great camera work from Ranty mostly and from Riley.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah,
there's no exacting science or perspective. So, you know, we have to start with other first principles. We have to understand, as I say, the substance. The most abundant substance that we have is water. We understand its physical properties, its capabilities, and what it is bound by. So that, you know, tells anybody beyond any shadow of a doubt that they do not live in the exterior of any shape. Earth is proven by science, by physics, by demonstrable facts that all bodies of water must be contained, and that between one point to the other, it will be level. If there's a deviation from one point to the other, it will flow. That's what a river is.
Yeah.
And air.
Del, can I ask you a question?
All non-solid.
Good Times for All, Zach, his most recent couple of videos on passing currents through water.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's interesting what he's finding, but he came on Saturday and spoke about it. And what he was achieving was an imprint on the body of water. But again, you know, it proves absolutely nothing one way or the other. We're talking about the body of water being bent from one side to the other, no, you know, forces acting upon the surface.
Yeah.
Every experiment that anybody's ever doing, they show water in a containment, and then they try and, you know, use sophist tactics to explain how the globe's possible from that, when all they are ever doing is proving that liquid has to be contained. So we understand surface tension, we understand adhesion, we understand these things in small scales. It doesn't apply to larger scales.
No, I agree completely. It has to be contained, but I also concede that what he does show is that electricity will manipulate water.
I don't doubt that, Anthony. That's absolutely fine. But electricity will never
salt water.
bend a standing body of water, ruin the exterior of any object.
Correct. It won't do it around the exterior of any object. I agree, but it is manipulating water, as in standing water. It is doing something.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, electricity
Which
can
makes a lot
draw
more
in
sense with regards to tides than
salt
gravity
water.
from the moon.
There's loads of possibilities for tides, but this is the thing. People run before they can walk and think they have to have explanations, you know, to answer to the globe religion, and that's just not how it works. The accepted claim, and the claim that I was born into, the claim that everybody was born into, was that it's a globe. As far as I'm concerned, that's the focus of my attention. Now, if I can falsify that globe, I do not need to have anything to replace that. That is proper science. That is a proper scientific, honest stance to have. You say, that's false, we do not know, we have to have further investigations in order to establish what's actually going on. End of story.
Yeah, I agree. We don't need to know what it is, we just need to know what it's not.
Exactly. So any model that anybody constructs, if there is one flaw in that model, if the whole thing doesn't work as a unit, and you've got one flaw that you cannot account for or rectify in any way, shape or form, the whole thing has to be scrapped and you have to start again. That's just the way it works. In every aspect of applied lived life, that's how it operates. So if I construct an internal combustion engine and I have one factor of that causes it not to operate or work and I cannot rectify it, the whole design has to be scrapped and we start again.
Yeah, or it'll explode.
The fact of the matter is, we can model. Anybody making any claims to objective substances in reality, they can demonstrate it, they can model it, and they can show it using the actual substances. The globe cannot achieve that. That's why you have plastic globes. That's why you see it on a TV screen. Nobody is ever going to show you how, you know, first and foremost, how a vacuum is created without a container, how pressure is created without a container, and how the two of these opposing pressures can exist side by side without some sort of solid separation. You can't model the globe in any way, shape, or form using the actual substances that are claimed. That's why it's a plastic toy. So right there and then, you know, people should be aware that it's just bullshit.
Yeah. What they end up doing is getting you like locked into the semantical arguments, and you're right in what you say. I just like the argument.
Well, that's it, Anthony. I'm the same. You know, sometimes I just like to resharpen my tools and have a bit of entertainment by ripping the pish out of these fanatical disciples of a cult religion. You know, and for me, I use it purely as entertainment, but it does become annoying sometimes, especially when you know that innocent people who are maybe at the beginning of a question are going to be affected by these sophist cult members, you know? So I think it's usually important for people to represent things concisely and articulate exactly what is going on and don't leave things in a cloudy place in order to confuse people. You know, it's very simple.
Say for the record that I did not remove the rumpus. I don't know what happened, but he seemed to have run.
These guys like the rumpus and all these characters who have been about for all this time, they're not here to have honest discourse. They're not here to properly establish first principles and have any scientific approach and understanding. They continue to pose a false dichotomy of their flawed, you know, cartoon globe against some other straw man cartoon flat Earth. And that's exactly what they're up to. You know, the real reality of the situation is that
illusion.
Real
when somebody else talks sense about flat Earth, then he just wants to constantly interrupt them and not let them finish.
Arwin,
That's what he usually does.
Arwin, there is no flat Earth. That's the stance that you have to begin with. You know, you're not making claims. You know, we can establish that water's level, and we can establish how pressure is created and how its relationship with vacuums. The reality of that situation. But there is no flat Earth. The reality of our situation is we've been told that this is where we live. We are refusing and falsifying that. Therefore, the only way we're ever going to resolve it is by having mass, awareness of the subject and the topic, and full exploration. Nothing else is going to resolve it.
No, I was the one that got rid of the rumpus.
No.
I kicked his ass. He's had the floor for an hour and a quarter, hour and a half, and he hadn't said a single thing. All he was doing was obfuscating the truth and deflecting the questions. He was here just to troll, basically.
Yeah.
So,
he did actually manage to say that the glow pictures were actually peer reviewed. Can you just put that remark in your mind? Like, how can you peer review freaking pictures? It's just ridiculous, man.
You have to ask these people if that's if that is the grounds that they're starting from. You have to ask them, is images and video measurable scientific proof? And if they agree to accept that, they are opening a can of worms up to any charlatan making any claims and backing it up with images and videos. It's no science. It's no scientific. It's bullshit.
Yeah, and even like Riley even tried to prove basically that the Africa picture, it's out of scale. So it's actually a direct proof that it's been tampered with, that it's not actually fitting the original globe model concept. And then he actually, after that, managed to say that the globe pictures were peer reviewed. It's absolutely amazing. It is total fraud right in your face, and he actually expects people to believe that. It's amazing.
So I don't know if I've got anything else to add other than that. You know, watching the bullshit go running around in circles is no productive to anybody. So if anybody's got anything they want to ask me or any points they want to make, by all means, let's have it. If there's any globe believers there that think they have anything measurable, that think they can prove their space testicle fantasy, I'm willing to hear it. Up until now, 3 years of this, I have seen nothing but sophism and illogical bullshit coming from fanatical religious disciples who don't deserve any respect. They don't deserve to have any ear listening to them unless they can resolve their idiocy and step up to the mark and have some progress. The fact of the matter is science. It doesn't belong to any religion or any institution. It belongs to the individual. And if we want to have progress, there is no false dichotomy. There only is one objective reality. So everybody should be pushing in order to bring this to the mass awareness so that we can have it resolved and put to bed once and for all.
Dale, I have a question for you.
Go for it.
If somebody mockingly asks you, are you a flat earther? What's your response for that?
My first response is define flat earther.
Okay, all right. And if they mockingly say to you, so you believe the earth's flat? To avoid the crap that will come following that, try and control the conversation.
Exactly. Well, my response is I don't have any beliefs. The claim was made to me as a child when I was impressionable that the earth was a nature-defying globe. And when I grew up into adulthood and started to have a critical discerning mind, I looked at that to try and verify it or falsify it. And lo and behold, I could falsify it because it doesn't stand up to scientific scrutiny. It has nothing measurable. It has no practical demonstrations for any of the absurd claims that it makes. And that's it. So flat earther is a loaded term. First and foremost, people have to define what they mean by flat earther. They don't get to label you with whatever their preconceived idea of flat earth means. That's a logical fallacy on their part.
Yeah, the only conclusion I have drawn that I can absolutely put my hand on the heart and say, yeah, this is the case, is the heliocentric system is fundamentally flawed.
Yeah.
And I try and ask them that question, heliocentric or geocentric, and they actually don't know what the words mean. So that sort of shuts them up a bit.
Well, it's astonishing.
Call it a heliocentric globe skeptic.
Yeah,
that is really what it comes down to.
What this whole thing does is show and brings awareness to the fact that the majority of people really are unaware of where they actually are in this reality and what it actually is. And that proves when I get into the street, because people just repeat, mantras and things that they were told. They have nothing in the way of actual conversation or critical discernment for the things that they've been told. They really are in ignorance. Now that should be a warning sign, a red flag to everybody, that regardless of what anybody thinks, that what is going to be achieved through this is that people are going to be much sharper, much critical, much more aware of their surroundings, what their life is and what they're involved in. So for me, it's all a plus, it's all a benefit.
I have a question.
That's true for some people. That is true for the people that actually want to learn. Unfortunately, as we are progressing with our insight and our knowledge and sharpening our skills, there's a vast majority of people out there, we've been testing this, that actually now more upfront just say, I don't want to know.
Yeah, there's a guy.
That's also unfortunately happening at the same time. So there's both the people that actually are waking up and that are getting indeed a lot sharper and learning how to defend themselves psychologically against these scientism assaults. psychological assaults, but at the same time, there are people out there also that are just completely giving up all mental faculties and just saying, I don't care, I don't care, I don't care.
I have a question for you, Dale. I know you do experiments up in Scotland, and I do observations over the water too. You've obviously heard the term dirty air. How would you say what you see as the dirty air? What would you call it?
Well, it's
How do you get around that?
It's a variation in, you know, conditions from one day to the next. You know, the horizon is not a substance, it's not a tangible thing, and it can vary from one day to the next. So I can go to the west coast and I can see so far for, you know, from one day, I go the next day, the conditions are different, and I can see, you know, a varied distance. It's not an exacting science, and it's certainly not a space testicle that is morphing in its shape and its dimensions from one day to the next. It's everything's subject to conditions, atmospheric conditions. And again, I'm going to reiterate it, there is no exacting science in regards to this, which is why they continue to play upon it. All their observations that they try and push forward for the globe are straight out observations because they know there's an optical illusion, an optical effects happening there. So again, it's part of the process. We have to try and establish and further investigate these things. None of that in any way, shape or form proves either flat or globe. It's nonsense.
Well, this straight line of sight basically in the far distance does kind of prove a flat aspect or near flat.
Well,
it disproves the globe curvature formula, but yeah, it does not 100% prove that it is perfectly flat. That has been my fallback position. It doesn't prove perfect flatness,
no.
but it does prove that it is flattish.
It's a second tier, Arwen, and I agree. You know, based on their mathematics, you can get observations that refute their mathematics, but it's a second tier argument or proof. The first tier, the fundamental first principles, is that we know any standing body of water from one point to the other is level. That has to be the starting ground.
Yeah, but there are still other effects that can apply even to that, because if you take a very large bucket, you fill it with water, and then you start to spin it around its axis, then the water will actually perfectly level match the side of the bucket because it'll spin with it. So there's other possibilities even in that sense.
Arwen, that what you just offered there is absolute nonsense, mate, because it's not a representation of anything in nature. Nothing to do with your reality or any of the claims that's being made. That's like a baller putting a bucket of water, spinning it around his head and saying, look, this is how water stays on a ball. It's nonsense.
No, I'm saying that does not prove a ball. It just proves that water does not always have to stay perfectly level. In a motion, it actually does stick. It just doesn't stick to a ball. It's reversed.
Under centrifugal force, of course, Arwen, you have, you know, physics applied to that, but that's absolutely nothing to do with the conditions that we're living under.
Mm-hmm. No, not that we can see, at least. The thing is, we don't really know how much land there is beyond our confines, beyond the North and South Pole. If I've theorized, and this is of course purely theoretical, that if there is a lot of land beyond the North and South Pole, that basically the Earth could be some kind of wheel shaped, and that the wheel is slowly turning, causing gravity, like a centrifuge motion, and that is the thing that keeps the water sticking down. But it is purely theoretical. It is a possibility.
You know, Arwen, I'm into exacting sciences and claims being proved. If it's a theory or a hypothetical, you know...
yes, it is. It is absolutely theoretical, but it could work if it was like that.
If it's a mental experiment, fair enough, Arwen. If it turns out that we're inside a bucket being spun around on some big chain, fine, I'm willing to accept that if that turns out to be the reality. But as far as I can see, we're not under those conditions. Gravity in no way, shape or form provides anything measurable in regards to the shape of the Earth. It's another, you know, part of the sophist nonsense.
Correct.
Gravity, it's useless. We're talking about Earth. the measurements of Earth, the substances here on Earth, and the physical laws that they are bound by, and the behaviours that they display, what we can recreate, what we can test and observe and repeat between each other and come to the same findings. That's how we establish objective facts. The rest of it is absolutely useless to anybody. It's a waste of their time, unless, of course, you have the option and the ability to be able to do it with your hypothetical mental gymnastics and somehow try and verify or falsify those. But spinning buckets and all this other stuff, you know, it's absolutely fucking useless.
It depends on what you're trying to prove with spinning the buckets. In this case, I was just proving that water, depending on the forces applied to it, try to find a level based on their confines. It does not stick to a ball. That actually never works. That's the ironic thing of it all, is that even with any experiment you would try, you can't make water stick to a ball. In a miniature experiment, that is totally impossible. That's the most hilarious part. But other types of setups can prove that water does stick to the inside of a surface through centrifugal force. At least it doesn't prove that the Earth is that, of course, but it just shows that when forces are applied, water does find its level based on the confines it is in.
Yeah, and if it can't be recreated and demonstrated in a practical fashion, there is no excuses allowed for. You know, it's like, you know, I would never go to any religion and allow excuses. Well, God's real, you just can't fathom him, he's too big, it's just an excuse. It's the same when it comes to the globe Earth. Oh, we can't recreate and show any of these claims because we need a planetoid, something the size of the Earth. It's a religious excuse that comes under the same category. If they can't demonstrate it in a practical fashion, they're either lying about their understanding of the substances, or they're absolutely confused and they don't have enough experimentation to show it. Either way, it's flawed. Any claim has to be demonstrable. Show it practically, demonstrate it.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to make one point. I think the whole point of today's show was really to make the point that if you make evidence available and the evidence is incapable of being verified by anybody, and you have to trust that the people that are giving you the evidence are credible and not telling you porkies or exaggerating it or manipulating it for commercial effect, that evidence then becomes a problem because nobody can verify it to be true. And essentially basing science on that kind of evidence is a fallacy in itself. It's fallacious.
Exactly.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.